So today I am very excited to bring you guys a new offering from Vaer. This is their new G7 Meridian GMT. It was a watch that was actually released late last year, and I believe they've started actually making some deliveries on this watch already. However, I haven't seen many YouTube videos for it as of yet. So this is sort of a YouTube exclusive. It comes in very similar packaging that we are used to from Vaer, just an outer sleeve, then a cardboard box, then there's two boxes inside. This is a prototype, so I don't believe they actually have the correct box for the bracelet yet, because this shows an oyster style. Inside we actually have a Jubilee style. So we'll throw this on the watch in just a few minutes. I want to show you guys this new bracelet, which looks really good. And then of course we have a watch. It comes on a tropic rubber strap. And this is the gold variant. They're calling it the gold variant, although it has a black dial and a stainless steel case. It has a lot of gold markings on it, so it's sort of a gilt dial version. You're getting gilt on the bezel. You're getting gilt on the dial, so the name of the brand there, Vaer, and then right above the 6 o'clock, it gives you the depth rating, says it's automatic. That's also in a gilt tone. The indices are all in a gold tone, and then of course the hands. The hands on here, you're getting a sword hand, a fence post hand for the minutes, and then a lollipop on the second hand. I believe that is loomed. There's a little bit of a counterbalance as well on the second hand, and then you have a GMT hand. It's an arrow hand in red, very Rolex-esque. And of course, as I mentioned in other videos that I've done about Vaer, lots of AR coating on this domed sapphire crystal. When you turn it over, it sort of looks like a UFO. That bezel and sapphire crystal combination, really domed. Lots of AR coating, gives it that purplish hue, which I really like. You get a screwed-in crown, which is a very typical Vaer crown here. Very grippy, feels really nice. And obviously, there you go, very smooth. This is very smooth because you're getting an ETA movement inside. It is the 2893, and you can see it from the back. And I always love an ETA movement. I love to see it. They always decorate these really nicely. You're getting blued screws, perlage, Geneva striping. It's signed Vaer right there. Obviously, ETA's higher end offering, so they do a really good job on these. Screwed in case back, sapphire crystal case back, so you can see the movement. What more could you want? Really nice. Vaer signed there on the crown. A little bit different from what they offer from the D5, which I actually have on my wrist today. There is polishing on this case. So there's polishing on the underside of the bezel, on the top portion of the case itself, a very thick line of polish. Looks really nice on here, and I believe that some of that polish actually carries through to the bracelet. Like I said, we'll throw it on the bracelet in just a few minutes. There is lume on the indices, on the hands, on that GMT hand, on that second hand. I believe it's X1C1. They usually put a good amount of lume, so we will do a lume shot at the end. You even get some lume in the pip right there. Let's do measurements on this watch. It's around a 40 millimeter watch. I've measured this a few times, and I get around 40 millimeters almost every single time. So it's 40.2. At the case, it's slightly smaller, so it's like 39.8, somewhere around there, but that's what I get. Thickness on here, it is a little bit thicker because of that dome sapphire crystal, so when you catch it on that dome, it's like 14 millimeters thick, so 14.1. If you catch it where it is not, it's actually pretty thin. It's around 12 millimeters thick, is what I've measured a few times. So because of that dome sapphire crystal, which was very heavily domed, it's adding a pretty good amount of girth to the watch, or at least it doesn't actually wear that way, it just looks that way. So 7 millimeters on the crown, so it is a big crown. And then the lug to lug on here is, and I'll do a measurement when it's on the bracelet as well, 46.1, but I believe the bracelet has, I believe, male end links, but it doesn't wear much bigger than the 46, and I'll do a measurement when I have it. And I believe that the strap is 20 millimeters, says it right there. It comes with a milled buckle and a really nice, very soft tropic rubber strap. Really beautiful watch, very vintage inspired. Obviously, the case is sort of inspired by the Seamaster 300, vintage, like 1960s, 1970s Seamaster 300. And then, of course, the dial and the bezel sort of inspired by the Rolex GMT Master 2. Actually, I would say probably, yeah, the GMT Master 2. I think that's what they're probably going with. So, you know, not bad inspirations. And I believe this is a unidirectional bezel on here, but they're going to be putting a bidirectional bezel for the production model. And that's the only difference between this and the actual production model. So this is a very similar bezel action, which is a very nice bezel action to what's on my D5. However, they did send along a case with the bezel that we could hear the action for the bi-directional version. So you could hear that. It actually sounds and feels really good. It's very, very loud. Let's listen. So it might be a little bit different because there will obviously be a sapphire crystal and a case back and a movement inside. So it may not click as audibly because it is very, very loud, because there is nothing actually to dampen the sound. However, you can see it's actually a very nice bezel action on here. Pretty cool. And this is obviously just a prototype case. But like I said, this is essentially a prototype as well, but they assured me that this is essentially 99.9% of what you're going to get. The only major difference is the bezel action. Very quickly, I'm going to throw it on the bracelet, but I want to show you it on the strap on my wrist very quickly. Then I'll throw it on a bracelet, and we will talk about price. Today, I have on another Vaer. As I mentioned, this is the D5, their diver. This is the US assembled diver. This is actually different from the G7 because this is actually not made in the US. This is assembled in the US, but technically they call it the US diver because it's assembled here in the United States. This is actually made and assembled in Switzerland, so very different. However, the cases are very similar. As I mentioned, just a few little minor differences you could see on the profile. There's more polishing. There's polishing on the underside of the bezel, polishing on the lip of the case. But other than that, I think this might be a little bit thinner as well. But that's really the only differences, and it's obviously because there's a thinner movement inside. Although that watch is a very thin watch as well. This does get 200 meters of water resistance, so that is really awesome. So there you go. Here it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. Like I said, it's like a 40 millimeter watch, and it looks phenomenal. It really does look really good. And very quickly, let me throw it on the bracelet so you guys can see what it looks like on that Jubilee bracelet. I don't have it sized, obviously, but I think they put screwed links in here on this new bracelet, whereas the old version, the one that I have right there, does not have screwed links. It has push pins. But very quickly, let me switch it, and then we will talk about price. Well, there you go. You can see it on the Jubilee. This looks phenomenal. I really like this Jubilee. Sort of, again, this is a nod to Rolex. So it's sort of a combination of Rolex and, Seamaster versus Submariner. Pretty cool what they've done here. I really like it. And it tapers a lot. Really nice, solid bracelet, and it has a little bit of an upgraded version of their clasp. It has double pusher, whereas the other one that I have does not. And also you have screwed links as well. As I mentioned, it does have male end links, but it does not wear that much larger than the lug-to-lug on a strap. So the lug-to-lug on the strap, I believe, was around 46 millimeters is what I measured before, 46 and change. So I'm getting 46 basically on the dot there. So with the male end links, it's measuring in at around 46.1, 46.3, somewhere around there, depending on where you're catching it on the actual Jubilee. And you can see that Jubilee is awesome. It really is very fluid, very nicely made. You have a little bit of a hang on it, which I really like. That's what I like about a Jubilee. It's just a very, very comfortable bracelet. Quick release on the bracelet, so very easy to change from the strap to the bracelet. You have quick release on the strap as well. Just a really nice watch. I really like this Jubilee. I love a Jubilee. I wish that more micro brands would do a Jubilee. So there you go. So the price on this, I think it's going to start at $1,199. However, right now they're offering 20% off on that for, I think it's daylight savings. You know, they offer 20% off pretty often. I think you could sign up for your email and get 20% off with them. So it comes out to around $970 with that. Really nice, really beautiful watch with a strap and a bracelet. And I really love this Jubilee with the screwed links. That's awesome. Just a really nice watch, a really nice offering from Vaer. Very quickly, let's do a lume shot and then we'll wrap up the video. So Vaer always do a really good job with lume. Obviously, they haven't lumed the bezel, just the pip in here. And that's because you have those gold tone indices on the bezel itself. I'm not sure if other variants are lumed. They make a sort of Pepsi version. I think it's a Pepsi or a Coke version. That might be lumed, I'm not sure. But other than that, I think this is really nicely lumed, very liberally applied. Like I mentioned, it's X1, C1, I believe, on the hands, the indices. And you get a little bit on the GMT hand, you get a little bit on the second hand, sword hand, and fence post hand. So around $970 is what this is selling for right now. I think that's pretty much what you can get it for all the time because they do offer discounts. I think the regular price of $1,200 is what they normally are asking for it. Beautiful watch, really well made. This is a Swiss made watch. Obviously it has the 2893. That costs a lot more than the Sellita movement. Even though Sellita is sort of an equivalent, the SW330 I think it is, does cost more. They're harder to get as well. Less and less of them are actually available. So that's something to note. You know, it's very important to note that because it does cost more money. And it's Swiss made. So tell me what you guys think about this watch in the comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of Vaer? What do you think of this new offering? Lots of GMTs out there. Obviously, a lot of inspiration from Rolex with the Jubilee bracelet, the dial, and the bezel. A lot of inspiration from Omega, which is really not a bad thing. But it sort of stands on its own. It doesn't look too much like either of those watches, but it takes inspiration from both at the same time. I think Vaer do a really good job at that. And this is a beautiful watch. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel and I very much appreciate it. Please follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.